finish, I'll tell a real life experience for me where the archetypes came into play. Earlier this summer, my girlfriend, my partner,
Hmm.
there was a birthday thing going on in Seattle, and she wanted to go. She wasn't sure what time it started. She didn't want to drive her car. I would have to rent a car. There was all these different variables, and at one point, I was didn't want to get a car, right, to go across the border for only 2 hours because this thing was like 2 hours. So part of my analytical magician mind is assessing this whole thing and strategizing and going, this doesn't really make like a whole lot of sense. Like we're gonna go there for 2 hours, like blah 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 blah. And then her tone of voice was like, okay, well, fine, I guess we won't go. And I could really, my king, I like to think it's my king, picked up on that tone and picked up on that disappointment. And in that moment, it was like the king kicked in and was like, Warrior, go, go. So then I was like, okay, well, I'm gonna go look for a car right now. I'm gonna rent one, blah blah blah. So Warrior went into action, started doing all this stuff, planned it all out, and she was now in that point where she's like, "Well, no, you don't have to do it. Just forget it." I'm like, "Nope, we're going now. We're doing this." And that's the Warrior overriding the situation, saying, "No, no, no, I fucked up. Like we're going. You want to go to
Totally.
this thing, and that's the most important thing is that this is important to you, and you want to go. We're going." Planned it all, planned it all. We drive out there. We weren't there for just 2 hours. We ended up going back to her nephew's place for the whole day, wonderful conversation, spent a lot of time on my lover energy, blah, blah, blah. We get back in the car. We're about to leave. I'm about to pull out. She just looks at me. She's glowing, like she's happy, right? And she just looks at me and she's like, I'm so glad we did that. I had such an amazing time. I looked at her and I said, I'm so glad you enjoyed yourself. But inside, I was getting the goosebumps. I wasn't tooting my horn. I wasn't doing it. But I just, in that moment, I was like, thanks, King. Like, thanks for coming. Thanks for coming through on that one and making me realize that I was being selfish. And not just selfish at that moment, but there was some fear in there. It was
Hmm.
all of that, like I'd never driven across the border before. There was all the cost of this and that. And it was just all that dumb crap that the magician was
Mm.
was doing to protect me. But in the end, I was like, man, just do this for your woman. What are you doing, man? Come on.
Mm.
And it was all worth it. And in that moment, I'm telling you, that's what life is all about. It's those
Woo.
moments when I looked at her and she just, we weren't making out. It was nothing like passionate and
Yeah.
crazy. She just looked at me and it was like I was able to help her have a good day. And all it took was for me to lean more into this king and further away from the other energies. And that's where I think the work has benefited me the most is the language works. And it's like I can have that moment of assessing my inner kingdom and saying, hey, let's go. So yeah, that's just an example. Like, because on the
Love
phone
it.
with her, all these other archetypes were arguing, blah, blah, blah,
Yeah,
blah, blah,
yeah,
and then
yeah.
finally, the king just went, "Whoa,
Yeah.
I'm in charge. This
Yeah.
is what I'm sensing. You're scared. This part of you scared. This part of you doesn't want to do it because of this. We're doing it because it's important to her. What's important to my kingdom is that my partner, my queen, is happy
It's
too,
happy.
right? That's a
Yeah.
huge part of it, right?
Yeah.
So yeah, just that's kind of a quick example, just well, not really quick, but that's an example for your listeners in terms of just how the thought process can work for men, um, in terms
Yeah.
of just viewing their life and taking responsibility for it.
Ooh, don't
Yeah.
downplay that. That was such a beautiful story. Well said. Like, really great story. Like, I'm so grateful you shared that. And I really did imagine all of your archetypes talking, just like the
Hmm.
busy noise of like the kingdom where like everyone's there and
Hmm.
like the gestures like throwing around, juggling and stuff. And then the king walks in and everybody's like silent. And it's like
Hmm.
so powerful.
But imagine now, this is the work, right? Imagine if you're a man whose king is drunk underneath the table and
Mm,
he's not taking any responsibility for his kingdom. He's not entering the room. That's the problem what's going on in the world, right?
right,
Is that
right,
that's the thing.
right.
So a beautiful part of this conversation as well is that idea of like, yeah, I think it is silly when it's like I'm a king all the time. No, you're not.
Hmm.
You're still the scared boy. You still have a manipulative magician. You still have a warrior that wants to prove all of this stuff. But because you've connected with that king energy, you can now call upon him when you need to enter the room, hopefully.